Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday. Sorry about missing the Monday live. We're in the process of looking at what's going to be the best time frame for us and the best method for us to carry on the conversation that we started right at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic and the stay-at-home order. As we finish now that we've got a couple of weeks, I believe till the 26th at the earliest, before we could potentially in Illinois reach phase 4. Indiana's already at phase 4. And as that goes on, we want to, of course, be here to continue to share and educate and pass along best practices and things of that nature, as we've been doing for 37 years at PSC. So we're going to continue to develop this as a medium for us to gather. Please, any suggestions that you have, anything that you'd like to see us comment on, shoot a direct message, and we'd be happy to do that. I think that today I want to just kind of revisit two things. One thing is quick. If you would like me to forward you a spreadsheet that would allow you to track the specific expenses, full-time equivalent employees, payrolls, etc., for your forgiveness on the PPP loan. That's ever changing. It could change a little bit, but at least you'd have all your information in one spot. So if you haven't gotten that from either your bank or your accountant already, or from the SBA directly, and you'd like for me to share that with you, just send me a direct message and I'll be happy to forward that out to you. What I want to do in our time together is really talk about moving leadership now. Leadership moving from reopening, which we've been talking about for quite some time, and all of the things that we put in place, that you put in place for your businesses in order to reopen, to changing now, or at least anticipating or putting our focus on staying open. And so I want to ask some questions that I hope will be thought-provoking for all of you. What I'd like you to think about is what, first of all, what have you seen? What was your, within the construct of your reopening, what was your guest count per day and per week? What was your percentage of guests setting up future reservations before they left? What was your outlook and best practice, whether you offered blow drying or you chose not to offer blow drying? What does that look like going forward? Is there a particular point that you've had in mind, if you're not offering blow drying, to bringing that back as a service in your company? And will you bring it back in the salon as a included in service, or will you bring it back as a additional charge service? So those are all questions about that. Now I'd like you to look forward. Some of you have been open more than a month. Some of you have been open 3 weeks, and some, I think, only 2 weeks. And within that, what does your future schedule look like? I've seen a lot on the various social media postings about people already going from special post-pandemic hours to going back to their normal schedule. I've seen people, I think I read one today that said, I worked 20 days straight. We know that that's not self-care, and we know that that's not sustainable. So how are we going to look at this, and how are you looking at your schedule going forward? Indiana, you're in phase 4. What did that mean as far as the staffing schedules that you were able to put out? Within those staffing schedules, what is your capacity? Excuse me. In Illinois, In most of Illinois, we're at 50% occupancy ratio. And in Chicago, we're at 25% occupancy. When it goes to phase 4, the guidelines have not been put out yet in Illinois for either Chicago or the rest of the state of Illinois. But assuming that it stays the same at 50%, and Chicago either stays the same at 25% or goes to 50%, what are your scheduling processes going to be for how you schedule your staff? How do you schedule your support staff? What does your peak occupancy allow you to have in the business? Are you going to be going from what dollar amount, what guest count, what average dollar per guest going forward? What does that look like? And then what would you change? What would you change going forward that you've learned from this 2 to 3 weeks that you've been behind the chair so far? And does it make sense? You've heard us say before, at PSC we start at the guest and we work backwards to our company. There are many companies, many salons that start at their company and move outward to the end consumer. And that's where we start to run into trouble. So if you're going to choose to start at the guest and work backwards, what about what you've done hasn't worked for the guest? Now, I think everybody's going to say a resounding masks. We hate masks. I see that all the time. I've seen even bad language on social media talking about the masks. We can do that all we want, but until I don't see, I just don't see our governor or the governor of Indiana. I think you do have options for masks in Indiana. I don't see that happening in Illinois. With that in mind, there are certain things, which masks are one of them, that we point out that can't be changed. So if it can't be changed, that's something maybe that is an obstacle with your guest, but we can't do anything about it. So let's move aside all the things that we can't do anything about and then say, what can we do something about? I heard for the first time yesterday that there was a salon that was asking color guests to process in their cars. And that allowed them to bring another guest in because the rule is one guest per stylist, no double booking. Well, that's kind of a funky way to get out of, to allow double booking, is to ask your guests to go wait in their car. I don't necessarily agree with that. If we're starting at the guest and working forward, what guest, what woman or man wants to walk out of your business with foils in their hair or color in their hair and go sit in a parking lot? And you know that sometimes color can drip, it can run, it can get on clothing, it can get on collars, it can run down. Is that really the environment that we want? Waiting, perhaps. Yes, we have to use the parking lot as our waiting room in a lot of cases. But processing chemical services outside the business in a vehicle makes not a lot of sense to me. But that's my personal opinion. So what needs to change going forward? And the other part is that I know that many of you have conversations. In fact, most of you have conversations that are yet to be had with your landlords. So you know, some of you made maybe the April payment but haven't made May or June. Some of you didn't make April or May but have made June's payment. I think that there's a desire that you have as to how that's going to be mitigated. And certainly the landlord has their intent on how they'd like that to be mitigated. Ignoring the conversation doesn't help. We should be having those conversations. And once we have those conversations and we begin on this plan, it's going to allow you to have a different look at the numbers of your business. And so that takes us to your business staying in business, not just reopening your business. Staying in business means that you are able to carve out a sustainable model that allows you to sustain the business, pay the bills, pay your staff, service the guest, and move forward. Now, I'll tell you, and I've been very vocal on the fact that that's really not real possible in Chicago if you're following the rules of 25% occupancy. Even if you're open 24 hours a day and you're rotating your staff to be open those 24 hours a day, pretty hard to have a model there that's sustainable on 25% of your revenue. I also think that once rent's in place and whatnot, it's pretty hard to stay sustainable with 50% of your revenue. So how do we get from here to there? So my question is, what have you done specifically to increase your margin in your business? Because if your expenses outweigh your contribution to gross margin, you're losing money. And so is there anything that you've done differently to be able to have more margin flow through to your bottom line? And maybe help to correct that to get you through this process. And so what I want you to think about is this. I want you to think about the fact that many of the manufacturers have put stimulus programs of some sort, recovery programs. There are many different names for them, but the fact of the matter is that they're offering you either usage product, color developers, back bar shampoos, things of that nature, things you use in the salon and shop at a lower reduced price, or in some cases even at no charge. One of our manufacturers did that, which was just beautiful. And then from a retail standpoint or a take-home standpoint, products the guest takes home with them, we're seeing that some salons are taking the discount that's been offered, the reduction in price that's been offered by the manufacturer, and passing that on to the at-home consumer. Very nice, very generous thing for you to do. And certainly we're all in this together. But I promise you that your guest wants you to remain in business. They want you there for them, not just now after this long stay-at-home order. They want you there going forward in the future. They want you there in 6 weeks when they need their haircut, 5 weeks when they need their haircut, 3 weeks when they need their color, 4 weeks when they need their color. They want you there consistently over time. The only way we're going to do that is if you think about something that you don't normally like to think about. For many hairdressers, profit is a dirty word. And in this case, I just want you to think about getting back to break even or maybe a little bit better. And so the manufacturers offered you lower prices on things to use in the salon and on things to sell in the salon. If you pass that discount along, not only do you have, sure you've got the same maybe margin, but you've got less dollars. And at the end of the day, you pay your bills with dollars. The intent of the manufacturers were to take that reduction in dollars and be able to move it directly to your bottom line, which was hurt and injured by this long layoff. So my suggestion would be this one time, take this product where you're saving money on it, sell it at suggested manufacturer retail price, and allow distributor, manufacturer, salon consultant to help you get back to break even or maybe even slightly a profit. Once we're through this period, and most of these programs end either end of June, end of July, some go on till August. But once we're done with that, then we'll be back to our normal monthly promotions. And even in the meantime, you'll have normal monthly promotions that aren't this stimulus package. So I hope that makes sense, because it's so important. We thrive on your sustainability and your loyalty. So as a distributor, for you to be in a business that sustains itself, that is ongoing and can be profitable, so that you need to buy from us over and over and over again. We've been blessed 37 years of business to have you do that with us and for us. Our mantra has always been that if we can in fact help you increase your service volume, your take-home volume, and your overall profitability, if we can do that through education, through information, then what we ask for in return is your loyalty. And your loyalty is what's fueled PSC for 37 years. And we're grateful, which is why we feel a need to come and talk to you right now. You would think I'd be saying, boy, let's back up the truck, let's fill up the salons, let's push it out the door. That's not it. We want you to use this stimulus package to be able to increase your amount of dollars that's falling to that bottom line, to bring it back up to break even. That's really, really important. My next question. Look at your color brands. This is a time where right now I'm going to share with you that I think we need to be looking at what is our cost per app, per application, without reducing the end result. Is there anything like the stimulus program or like an ongoing lower cost in a product that will allow you to protect your bottom line? Are some of the products that we've been using just because we've been using them for a long time? Some of the color brands that have been around forever. Some of their permanent color, some of their demi-permanent color, some of their semi-permanent color. Is that still a great fit for your business? Now, I could say that because I believe our brands are extraordinary, and I believe that ours are, and I also believe that they are very cost effective per application across the board. But I also see us compare to other brands that our company doesn't represent, and I see how the difference in that is, and really how much more economical many of our color brands are without the stimulus program at regular price. And I know that thinking about switching color is always it's always a scary thing for some of you as salon owners. But I think this is a time, maybe not today to make a change, maybe not even tomorrow, but to look at the infinite game of business, as Simon Sinek says, not the finite. Look at the infinite view and say, how can I keep playing in that infinite view of the beauty business going forward? How can I make sure that the products that I'm offering, the services that I'm offering, if there is an opportunity, I mean, first of all, let me ask you a question. Has your cost of business raised since you came back? You didn't have to have as much PPE, certainly, as what you do now. You didn't have to schedule your guests differently. You've gone from in some cases, double the booking or more, down to single booking, one guest per stylist at 50% or 25% capacity. It only makes sense that there needs to be an adjustment to the business without taking away any of your value to your customer, to the guest of the salon. I hope that makes sense. I really had that as my sole focus today that I wanted to get through. So we're moving from reopening our business to staying in business. And I know that some of you are so brilliant that maybe you got there, you were there 3, 4, 5 weeks ago. And you're saying, oh, come on, but this is an old topic. It's not an old topic, because I know the majority haven't. And so what do? We start from where we're at with what we've got, and we move forward. We need to ask the right questions of ourselves and of the numbers to get the right answers, to be able to then choose the right behaviors that are going to bring about the result that you need to keep your business and stay in business. We can't think that somebody's going to come and rescue us. There's rumored to be more stimulus packages from the federal government. There certainly has been some decent stimulus packages that have been available. Whether it's another round of stimulus checks going out to everyone throughout the country, whether it's a subsequent new answer to the PPP loan, whether it's the new Main Street loan, whether it's statewide or state programs that address certain business needs for small businesses. There's bound to be more things that come in, but what I want you to do is don't count on that. Don't count on that to make your rent payment in October or September. How do we get from here to there? For some of you, it may be looking at the things we've already talked about. For some of you, it may be looking to negotiate with your landlord a reduced rent for the remainder of the year, and with the provision that what if we hit another one of these spikes where we have to close down? You can't keep going back to the well over and over and over again. So if it's a potential issue, we should talk about it up front. What would it look like if you had a reduced rent through the balance of this year, and either agreed to prorating it over the next 12 months or the balance of the lease that you currently have, or you agreed to add time, such as add 12 months, add 24 months to the current lease you have at the current rate that you have it. There has to be some quid pro quos here. There has to be some, I need this from you and I'll do this for you. I think that that's a direction that we need to go. And this is primarily, certainly, at the independent salons that are commission based. That you do have a lease. You do have a landlord. That's another area that you can go. What about for your bank? If some of you are carrying bank debt, most of the stimulus or disaster relief programs have clauses in them where they don't want you taking the disaster relief money and paying down existing debt with a bank, because that would hurt the banks, and then the government's got to come in and help the banks. But what would be good for you to do is say, can I move for the rest of this year to an interest-only payment? Or can we eliminate principal and interest through the end of the year and just add that on to the end of the loan? So if your maturity date was X, now it's X plus 7 months. So those are all things that should be being considered right now. Don't wait until you're staring at payroll. I'm not saying that many would do this, but don't wait till you're staring at payroll and say, okay, now how am I going to cover it? These are right now situations. And I know it's a tough conversation to have, because many of you are going home with headaches from wearing your masks. Many of you are going home exhausted because you've added hours in order to meet the pent-up demand that's out there. But I'm also going to tell you that I'm starting to hear, and I'm starting to hear it a lot, that business is going back to normal. We've had 3 or 4 weeks of really busy, and now it's going back to normal summertime, which is less than usual. So I want to encourage you and say, just like we said all along, you can do this. And when we can't, God can. Look for the answers. Recognize them when you see them. There's answers there. Maybe this is one of those nudges. Maybe this, the way you're hearing what I'm saying, for you, maybe this is one of your nudges to take some action right now so that you're where you need to be throughout the balance of this year. We appreciate so much your business, your friendship in many cases, your loyalty in all cases. Please remember, we're here to serve. I was on my friend Alex's message last night and did mention that the product that's coming in from all of our companies is replenishing PSC. Most of the back orders that were in place went out today. We're anticipating really solid, regular fulfillment rates that we've had going into the pandemic. We think we're in the right spot now to do that. So we're here to serve, and we're grateful for you. Let us continue to help. Use your consultants in a new way. Allow them to work with you in a video call fashion. Allow them in to help you work on some of the challenges that you have. Allow them to help you with video meetings for your staff, to help with motivation, to help with the total outlook going forward, not the immediate, this is hard, or it's so much harder with the sanitation and the masks and so on. We are all in this together, and we want to help, and we're going to continue to be here with you and for you. Have a terrific evening. Thank you for your time and attention as always, and please remember, direct message if there are specific things that you need. Beginning of the message was if you want a Excel spreadsheet that's going to help you to track your PPP loan forgiveness, and if you have any topics that you would like to see us address in the near future. I can't promise that we'll be able to do all of them, but what we will do is either, if it's one we can't address, we'll address it with, we'll send you some suggestions back. So have a great evening. Thanks so much.